Welcome, juniors, to your third college readiness webinar, Sparks and Exposure, Part 2. Today, we're going to continue exploring our career options. We're going to hear some additional advice. We're going to talk about informational interviews. We're going to hear some interview examples. We have an interview task card for you all today. You will get an opportunity to see some contacts. You will debrief with your mentor group, and you can get started on your college readiness action items. So thank you to those of you who joined us for our junior discussion with a variety of guest speakers. We heard from myself, Mrs. Rosas, and Ms. B about our roadmaps. We also heard from a few of Summit Public Schools home office folks. We want to continue to explore and spark your interests. Since our last webinar, we heard from some of you and from some of your mentors that some additional resources and advice would be super helpful as you explore your career roadmaps. So here are some career assessments in addition to the career survey you already took. If you haven't taken the Overgrad Career Survey, please do so. It is in the last webinar that we did, webinar 2. We can add all the links to these in the description box for you to explore after the video. Additionally, here is some advice from university administrators on how to continue exploring.
I think it's important to reflect on your values, both personal and professional, and to try to find professional opportunities that are congruent with your personal values. And just because you like doing something doesn't mean you want to make it your professional work or your livelihood. I think there's differences between how I like to spend my time, what I do as a hobby versus 40 plus hours a week. You know, how do I imagine my professional life playing out? So I think we can get into majors, choose majors for a lot of reasons, but it's important to think about how I imagine spending my time as a professional. Can I imagine doing this? And if you can, I think that's a good indication to pursue it.
The advice I received was, if I want to become something, find somebody who's in that field and shadow them.
You think you might want to do things like I thought I wanted to be an engineer, and it turned out I'm much better at finance. You can't do anything in solitude or in silos. You really have to understand the expanse of experiences that you could have. And the only way to know that is to talk to people who've had those experiences. And so I always tell people, go talk to somebody. If you think you want to be a lawyer, go talk to a lawyer. If you think you want to be an engineer, go talk to an engineer.
One thing that I personally did is I sat in on classes of things that I was interested in. So I emailed professors and I explained what I was looking for. And a lot of people are very, very welcoming.
I also think that joining different clubs can be really beneficial.
I went to a lot of club meetings for the specific majors. And I think that's probably the biggest help that I had, just because in those club meetings, you meet a lot of upperclassmen who are already very deep in the field and they know what it's like.
As an undergraduate, I pursued many different research internships, and it was my participation in those internships that really helped me develop my passion for research and inspired me to pursue my PhD.
There were times in my kind of career path of doing a lot of different things, moving around a lot, that I felt like, oh, I wish I would have just jumped into something and then would have had a job for 7 years now and be that far along in my career. But I think that I gained so many different perspectives. I had so many different opportunities, met different people, got to live abroad and work abroad. So I think at whatever point it happens, like being open to that exploration is good and not panicking about trying lots of different things.
For students who are kind of trying to determine where their best place may be, I would encourage them to pursue internship opportunities or even work opportunities to really get a feel for if that path that you're currently on is of interest to you and something that you really think you would want to consider moving towards on a long-term basis.
But I think above all, for students coming into the university and students who are here trying to discover, which path to take, it's definitely finding those resources within that prospective field and coming alongside and learning as much as he or she possibly can.
Don't close the door, because the doors are opening all the time around you. Do what you think you want to do at this point in time, but keep your eyes open. to how the world changes around you, because it has opportunity everywhere if you keep that perspective.
I think of it in terms of doors. So you don't necessarily want to close doors, you want to open them and look into them. So my advice for people is to not walk past doors, even if it's a boring looking door, even if it scares the heck out of you. You need to open it up and actually look inside and see what it is before you make a judgment.
We heard that it is important to reflect on your values. You can join clubs and apply for internships in anything that interests you. And most importantly, interview professionals in your community. That was a big piece that they spoke about. So, informational interviews are a telephone or a Zoom interview with a professional in a field of interest. So through your research, you have identified pathways to careers, but the only true way to find out is by asking someone who has lived it. An informational interview is an easy and fast way to test drive careers and find out the true path while also getting a sense of what the job is actually like. So we do have some interview examples. In our last webinar, we mentioned that we would reach out to our own networks and interview people who took a variety of pathways to reach their current careers. So here are some of those interviews.
My name is Glafira Jocelyn Santos, and I am an Everest alumni. I currently work at eBay as an IT technician, and I've been there for about 3 months now.
My name is Emery. I live in Portland, Oregon. I am currently in a career transition. I was working for the past 6 years in a policy role at a tech company focused on how do we build regulations with communities and in partnerships with governments. And now I am exploring what is best for what's next.
Hey, my name is Max Barenberg. I'm the owner of Blackboard Music, an event production company in Portland, Oregon.
So what I saw myself doing when I was in high school and what I expected to do after graduating high school was go to a 4-year, get a bachelor's, and get a job. But unfortunately, that's not how things worked out. In the end, I ended up doing retail for a little bit, and then I went back to school. In the transition of me going back to school, the pandemic happened, so I was unable to finish. And then I came across Job Train, which was a quick, intensive program for IT that helped me get to where I'm at currently.
I didn't know what I was going to do as an adult when I was in high school. I was really passionate and really excited about exploring different realms. Luckily, I went to a college that allowed me to take classes across the board in all different disciplines. I changed my major 3 different times. I even self-designed a major that I didn't end up doing because I was very into whatever was in front of me. And I let myself wander through the different realms of where my curiosities and passions took me. I was able to do a lot of using different languages and language learning to do intercultural work. And that was what brought me different sparks. So I just kept running toward what was right in the path and creating different paths depending on how I was growing and developing. And luckily, it really worked out. And I'm still in that place of exploring and challenging myself to try new things and to stretch myself in new directions and see where my impact can be most useful and most worthwhile and also feed me.
I worked a ton of different jobs, mainly around the event industry. I worked in catering. I worked for a rental venue. before I just kind of landed on event production, which I do, which is sound and lights and DJ services for large events.
So my current career path that I chose requires knowledge in software permission, software development, as well as coding and IT security. So those are all things that I learned at Job Train and are helping me succeed at my current job.
Skills, I would say the skills I've needed to use most. I'd say organizational skills, knowing and seeing that nothing good is done on your own. Everything better is done in a team. It's kind of a skill, is really like knowing that and also being able to see other people's inherent talents and skills in themselves so that you can see where your gaps are and be able to fill them in with other people's talents and skills and say, you have what I'm missing and I have what you're missing, and let's all build the puzzle together so that we can like build a program and project that really represents diverse perspectives and diverse impact. So I would say the biggest skill is like knowing you can't do it alone, and also like believing that doing it with others is going to be the best way to get it done, whatever the it is. Credentials, I would say just different types of jobs that push you into different comfort zones, and knowing that you're never going to know it all, and humbling yourself into like being a very open-minded learner with a growth mindset, and being honest with your manager and boss when you just don't know, so that they can give you space to learn and grow into it, and be the little fish in the big pond. You'll eventually be the big fish, but just knowing that the people around you have so much to teach you is the best experience you could possibly have, is the people that you get to learn with along the way. So lean into your teammates and trust that it's all, that you're on the path that you're meant to be on until you don't want to be there, and then quit your job and find a new one.
Currently, I'm the owner of Blackboard Music, which provides sound and lights and DJ and event services for large events. The experiences in my life that have helped inform that are kind of always liking to bring people together, and then learning more about the nitty-gritty logistics when I worked for the company that I ended up buying. The owner had more of a industry level expertise in working with concerts and working with large conferences and large events. And so, I said, oh, well, I like DJing parties. I like bringing big sound systems. And then I was able to kind of work through learning how to do pretty like industry level professional events. And now I try and apply that more to events in Portland. Some other skills that I've been able to pick up along the way are a lot of event management, learning about how to deal with kind of all aspects of events in the planning process, working with other vendors, working with my staff, and pretty much I can do all of the jobs of the people that I hire. So whether it's being a sound tech for a band, whether it's running as a light tech for a show, whether it's DJing, any event under the sun, I feel, through working a ton of events, I have kind of cemented my expertise in all parts of the business.
I have found meaning in my life after graduating Everest. I the meaning for my life definitely has changed. I thought that going to college was going to be a really big step for me and was going to be something that was going to allow me to pursue psychology and help people with mental health issues. But it ended up not working out that way. And I think it did work out for the better. I think it ended up working out for the better because I now get to be a Latina in tech and represent a group of women that are not very well represented in the IT world. And so now I find meaning being a Latina in tech and being able to show other Latina girls that it is possible to break into tech, even though you don't have a 4-year degree or even lots of financial help. It is definitely still doable.
Always found meaning is in the human connection, is in getting to witness someone learning about themselves in a big way, where you just get to be like one ingredient in someone. Specifically, I've been like really fortunate to watch adults really bloom in ways that they didn't know possible. Community organizing is like an amazing way to watch people see their own voice and their own perspective make a shift and a change in policy, legislation, local issues. When people can like see that that they have a place, a role in local politics, it is like the most brilliant spark. I find so much meaning in just like being part of that journey, and also watching folks who generally have like less political power come together and be like, oh man, look what we could do together. And especially people who are like very from different backgrounds, from different ways of life, and they come together around a central issue they all care about and then change it. That is so beautiful. And that is meaningful. How has that changed over time? I think I like saw it in a very one-on-one way, and over time I've gotten to see it happen in much bigger ways and beyond just like hyper local or one-on-one, but at a bigger scale and across different cultures and across different countries. It's really meaningful.
I have found meaning in my life through connections with friends and my community. I think that my favorite part about my business is now I've gotten it to a place where, we'll put on about 70 events a year, mostly on weekends, mostly with clients who we've dealt with before. So I'm able to give myself a lot of flexibility to do things with people I love and spend time doing things that I care about. It doesn't really, I don't feel like I'm someone who has to work tirelessly every day to feel meaning in my life or to feel validation. And one of the things I'm really proud of with my business is, the first 5 years were grind, get new clients, give them a package that's way too big for way too cheap, just to show them what we can do, in hopes that they'll book us again. And after all of that hard work, kind of the payoff is happening now, where, if I only want to do 3 hours of work on a Monday, that's okay, because I've made myself a flexible business that can still meet the needs of all my clients while also giving myself time to do things that I enjoy, that I think give more meaning to my life than just working hard every day and being proud of the things that I get paid to do.
We hope that those videos were helpful. There is so much that you can learn from talking to someone who already has the career that you want, and interviewing is an important life skill. So it is time to be brave and step out of your comfort zone and talk to people. So we have a interview task card. So let's open it up. Again, the link will be in the description box for you all. We have identified 3 steps for you all. Step 1 is to identify professionals that you would like to interview. If you're feeling scared that you don't know who to reach out to, we have added some resources on how to find some folks that you can interview. The step 2 would be to request the interview. So we have added some model email scripts, some model phone call scripts on how to invite someone to interview with you. And then step 3 is to prepare your interview questions. We had entered some possible interview questions for you already. You can pick your favorite 5 or however many you want, depending on how the conversation is going. You can even add additional questions and take some notes. Take some notes. If it's on the phone, take it on paper, take it on a Google Doc, however is going to be the best for you. And then at the very end, we want you to reflect on how the interview went, what surprised you, how did the interview impact the career that you are curious about. And in these interviews, you'll want to represent yourself as confident, as capable, and professional individuals yourself. So if you remember the first few guests that we had in our discussions, if you attended our discussions, we had myself, we had Miss B, we had Miss Villarreal, we had Miss Torres, and Mr. Andrew was there as well. And then in the videos that we just showed you, we had Glafira, the IT technician at eBay. We had Max Berenberg, the business owner. And then we had Emery, and she was the community organizer. If you would like to contact any of these folks, feel free to email collegereadiness@summitps.org and we will connect you with them. Just another resource, since you've already kind of heard the story behind these folks. If you are interested in any of the fields that they discussed, reach out to us and we will connect you. If not, use the interview task card to search for that career interest that you're in, and let us know how that goes. So now is the time to debrief with your mentor group. What did you hear throughout the advice from the administrators, the interview examples? Why is this work important? What did this make you think about? And what questions do you still have? You can pause the video here. Welcome back. The action items for today are to try out some additional career assessments. Again, they're in the description box if you need to click into them. There is not one more that we suggest than the others. They're all equally have been recommended. We have the career survey in Overgrad if that's the one that you want to take if you haven't taken it. If not, you can use the other assessments that we have provided for you all. Also, reach out to someone in your network and conduct an interview of your choice. So fill out that task card. That's what you will be working on today. And if you're finished early, explore the College Readiness website, college.summitps.org. There are so many resources on there: scholarship information, financial aid information, how to be a well-rounded student, what to do in the summer, how to be productive in the summer. Everything and all you're going to find on the College Readiness website. If you have questions throughout the block, you can GChat collegereadiness@summitps.org or email us outside of this block. As you complete an additional career assessment and your test card today, you can start to think about which of the pathways actually align with your career interests. Thank you.